So you'll all get a little notice saying that we're recording. We're going to start with introductions and then Minna to say a word. And then I'm going to put up a PowerPoint and we're going to talk about Ofakim. And then we're going to have Lori Lebrecht talk to us about some tutoring tips and time for question and answer and a little follow-up and closing. So very excited to start. So you all know me. I don't need to introduce myself. Jill Suskind, hi.
Hi, I'm Jill, and I've been working with Marla for since March. We've been working on grants together and promotional materials and kind of updating the internal infrastructure, making plans for 2020 and 2023 together. So that's what I've been doing with Marla.
Hey, Lori, go for it. Thanks, Jill.
Hi, I'm Lori Lebrecht. I live in Cape Cod, Mass. I'm a retired teacher of the last couple of years of a reading specialist. And I have 3 children, 3 grandchildren, and I'm delighted to be with all of you here today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Lori. Jessica Sachs. And say where you are too. I like that. People are saying where they are. It always adds flavor.
I'm in Maplewood, New Jersey, which is right outside New York City. And I'm recently semi-retired science journalist and have enjoyed being part of the English Yachad group and then the spin-off, very beginner, Ivrit Yachad group. So I'm excited about this project.
Thanks, Jessica. Linda Rosenthal.
Hi, everyone. Linda Rosenthal. I share my time between Florida and New Jersey. I am here in Florida right now. And I happen to be on the Federation's allocations committee, for which Ofakim Merchavim is our partner community. So I'm excited to be, it's my first engagement with the Yachad. And I too am with Jessica in Ivrit Yachad. Happy to be here.
Mute when you're done. And Sunny Singer.
Hi, I'm Sunny Singer. I am in Kansas City, Missouri, in the middle of the country. And I've had the pleasure of working with Marla over the past, maybe a year. And I'm excited to see what Minna looks like because I've been communicating with her through emails. So I'm excited about this program. Okay, thank you for inviting me.
Thanks, Sunny. Linda Lowenthal.
Hi, I'm Linda Lowenthal, and I live in North Caldwell, New Jersey, another New Jersey person. We have lots of snow here. This is my first time tutoring and volunteering with the Yachad. I'm very excited, looking forward to it, and I have 3 kids.
Thanks, Linda. Jean Samet.
Hi, I live in Upper Montclair, New Jersey, and I heard about this program in our synagogue e-newsletter, and I looked at it and I said, whoa, this sounds like something I would love to do. I am a clinical social worker who works part-time, and I wanted to do something different than what I do professionally. I have 2 adult daughters who are married, and I have 2 grandkids and a 3rd one on the way. And I'm looking forward to this volunteer experience.
Mazel tov. Fantastic. Myra in Princeton.
Hi, another New Jersey person. I grew up in Union near Maplewood. I'm now in Central Jersey. I have been working with Marla for a little over a year with skilled volunteers for Israel with a wonderful Ethiopian woman, but I've been volunteering with Israel Connect for 4 years, and that's with high school students. I have 1 student right now officially and 2 who just continued. I visit Israel very often, and I've been a volunteer in the Army with Sarel about 15 times. I'm waiting to go back to Israel a lot. I'm a retired educator, did everything from preschool up to college administration, also classroom teacher and media library positions also. So I'm glad to be part of this project.
Thank you, Myra. Bruce, next.
Hello, name's Bruce Karp. I'm in Philadelphia, although I did live in Jersey for quite some time, about 15 years, mostly Montclair, working north. I got involved, looked into, tutoring about 3 years ago, I guess now, when I was thinking about taking a sabbatical, which didn't happen largely because of the the pandemic. So I recently got a student who we touched base with, spent 2 hours, and I really like it. One of the things I've done over the last 2 years since I retired is I've taken some coursework, finished a degree in English as a second language, so it's really interests me. Also, I'm hoping to go to Israel soon. I do have an Israeli passport, although I haven't been there. I was there once in the last 40 years, for a couple months, about 10 years ago. So it's been a long time. So this is also like my way of trying to find people to talk to or to meet once I do eventually go there.
Great, Bruce. And last but absolutely not least is Stephanie Bonder. She and I have been working behind the scenes on this program and recruiting participants. And she's been immeasurably helpful and knowledgeable, and she's gonna play a very significant role in today's program. Stephanie, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you. So I'm also from New Jersey. I'm from West Caldwell, New Jersey. So also part of Metro West. And I heard about this project actually through my sister, Lisa Lisser, who knows Marla for many years. And I am sort of in between permanent gigs and teaching. So I have taught in public school. I have taught in a Jewish day school. I have taught in religious school. I have taught from kindergarten through seniors in high school, plus I do adult ed as well. So teaching is really my passion, as well as writing and advocating and that sort of thing. So I heard this was in Ofakim, and knowing that Ofakim is one of the projects of our partnership in Greater Metro West, I thought it was a great fit for myself and hopefully our community. And so this was just great when Marla reached out to me and told me about it. Some of my close dear friends from Metro West on the Israel side are teachers who either came from or teach near Ofakim. So it's really great to have this sort of circle of connections come back together. And I believe Linda is joining when at the end of February, we're going to Israel. God willing, it will all be happening, and we'll be in Ofakim, and it will be really great. So hopefully I'll be able to maybe meet some of the people, but at least I'll be in our area where we're focused, and I can share a little bit with you today about Ofakim, which is really a wonderful place.
Okay, I would like to turn this over for a couple minutes to Minna to introduce herself to you, because most of you haven't had the chance to meet her yet. And also to just give us from the Israel perspective, her sense of the pilot, and then we're gonna start the orientation on Ofakim and on the tutoring. Go for it, Minna.
Hi, good evening from Yafo, Israel. It's good to see, for me, it's good to see all of your faces, especially the volunteers who have been with us for a year plus. It's nice to finally see you face to face. I am the English Yachad director. I mostly work with the students and the partnerships on this end. To date, I think I've done 282 interviews with all the students. And I am often in touch with different students when good things happen, when there are small issues that come up, with new ideas or areas they want extra help with, to help them communicate that. And with our partners, which really started with Tech Career, we're also working with La Merchak. Some of you have had students from different organizations. We just started a partnership with Empowering Ethiopian Women. And I think one of you has a sales, Jessica, you have a Salesforce student, and that's a partnership between Tech Career and Empowering Ethiopian Women, which we're very excited about that group. And also the Ofakim, I've been in touch with Chosen, which is the center. I think Stephanie will probably tell us more about Chosen, which is a center from Ofakim, or Marla, maybe. As the partnership with Ofakim has come through. Our partnership is with Yahaloma. Oh, I'm forgetting her last name, Marla.
Hoot.
Okay, and so she and I have been in touch. I've been in touch with one of the Metro West counterparts, Michal, on this end. And I have now interviewed 5 of the students in the last couple of days, which has been very exciting. They're all very excited to get started with you, and they're really very appreciative for the opportunity. Really, it's nice to hear it for 15 and 16-year-olds. I hear it often from the young adults that we work with. They're very grateful, and I get a lot of thank yous, but it's really to all of you. Thank you for making the time and learning different pieces that are important to your students to hone in on. So thank you. Marla, was there something else you wanted me to touch on? I'll leave it there for now.
Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen and open up a PowerPoint and pretty much turn the next section over in just a minute to Stephanie. I'll go, just one second. I'm gonna just open the PowerPoint. Let's see, slideshow, play from the start. Okay. So what I would like to tell you is what we want to accomplish today is to give you an overview of Ofakim as a community, very, very high level. We're not drilling down to lots and lots of details. We'll talk about the Metro West Ofakim partnership, which we are very grateful to have connections to, because Ofakim and Metro West, as you've heard, have been working together for years. It's part of a partnership structure under the Jewish Agency and has really created quite remarkable connections between communities outside Israel and communities in Israel. Then we'll talk a little bit about the goals, timeline, and structure of this pilot. And then we also have a little video made by high school students from Ofakim from 10 years ago. And I thought, even though there's a more recent video, this had a high school flavor that Metro West had been involved with. We'll share that. And then we're going to turn this over to Lori Lebrecht to talk about working with high schoolers. And we'll end with communicating during the pilot and just sort of putting together a few expectations and things like that, so that we all feel like ready to go and that the lines of communication for all of us are open. So how come okay, Stephanie, I'm giving the floor to you, and just let me know when you want me to switch slides.
Okay, well, this is a map of Israel. So I don't know if you can see it clearly, but in the center of the Negev is Beersheba. And then where the arrow is right now, there's Beersheba, there's Ofakim. Now, Ofakim was founded back in 1955 as a development town. Now, you may or may not know what that actually means, and I'm only taking it from my own personal history because before I studied in Israel at Hebrew U when I was in college, I had no idea what a development town was. I mean, I got the very typical American Ashkenazi background of the founding of the state, which really talked about kibbutzim, moshavim, and everyone came from Europe. But half of our country came from Arab lands, like 800,000 Jews came from North Africa and Arab lands. And when Israel was just a baby state and had no place to put anyone who was coming and no money, they decided to put together these development towns to develop the Negev. And I think they basically thought, why don't we just send those Arab Jews to the desert, because they probably came from the desert. And unfortunately, those Jews still have the dream of living in Jerusalem, and in their hearts, that was what they thought of was Israel, but there was no money and there was no control, and they got sent to the desert. And Ofakim started with Jews from Morocco and Tunisia, and it has grown over the years with Jews from all different North African countries, and in the more recent history, even from the former Soviet Union and Ethiopia. In addition, recently, in the last 10 to 20 years, there's been a big group of Haredim, ultra-Orthodox Jews, who have also moved to Ofakim. So it's a very diverse community, but it started out with no money, nothing. And the government was supposed to be developing the Negev and sending money to help them grow. And because of whatever reasons, it didn't happen the way they planned. And so Ofakim had been pretty depressed. They were relying on textiles as their industry. And then at one point, the textile market was shifted to other places. And so they lost a lot of jobs, and it became a very depressed area. And most of the young people were trying to get out, and they didn't want to stay in the desert. They wanted to go to the center, which is very common. But now Ofakim, Metro West has had a partnership with Ofakim for over 25 years now. And we have been helping them build their community in various ways. We have a matnas, the community center that helps them. We have a center for women with domestic violence. We have a center for the arts. We call it the Igloo, and it helps the kids develop their art skills. And we're really trying to work together. Now, Ofakim also is part of our Peoplehood Project, where Metro West has a group of Americans from our community partner with Israelis from Ofakim and Merchavim, which surrounds Ofakim. It's a group of 10 Moshavim that surrounds Ofakim. And so basically, this program of helping the youth learn English is very, very important for their success rate. These Israeli kids really need to feel like they can compete in the market with all of the Israelis from around the country. And by giving them a step ahead, by teaching them English and helping them perfect their English, it will really help them in their futures. And I think that's why this is such a gift that we can help and promote our partnership. And so I think that's really the background. And if you look at our own personal histories, where so many of our ancestors came from Eastern Europe and came to America and started with nothing, and the government didn't really help the Jewish immigrants when they were settling in the Lower East Side in the tenements, they really had to pull themselves up. And I feel that Ofakim is sort of a similar story, because they came and they didn't really have much, and they thought the government might be helping them. And unfortunately, it didn't necessarily work out that way. But the community has really flourished. And I believe Marla's going to share with you a video that high school kids made about their community, Ofakim, which I feel is so beautiful, and it shows how much they love their hometown. And I think it will be great for you to see their view. And in this video, please remember, it was created completely by Ofakim high school students. So if you notice any typographical errors or errors in English, know where it's coming from. This is how the kids that we will end up working with actually see their community. So Marla, I hope that's a good segue for you. Marla, you're muted.
Yeah, I'm going to show the video. We'll come back and talk about the pilot, and then we're going to turn it over to Lori. So I think you'll enjoy this video a lot. Just one second. I had it loaded, but I may have to load it again. Just a second. Just one second, guys. I had something else came up. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and get it up. I apologize.
Can I ask Diane to introduce herself as you're trying to load that up?
Please.
We all introduced ourselves, so Diane, if you have a second.
Sure. Other than my name, is there something else?
Where are you sitting? What's your background?
Okay.
Just very quickly.
Hi, everybody. I'm Diane Rowe. I'm in Warwick, New York. I apologize for being late. My plane was delayed yesterday, so my whole day's been a bit behind. I'm active at our temple, Monroe Temple of Liberal Judaism in Orange County, New York. I've actually am working right now, volunteering with a high school student, and not a high school, junior high student in foster care in the area. And my son actually made Aliyah and married an Israeli woman. He made Aliyah 4 years ago, and they got married in October.
Wonderful. Thank you, Diane. Okay, I'm ready to start. I think I'm ready to start the screen share. Here we go.
יבוא הזמן, יבוא הגל, ישטוף אותם ולא
So there you have Ofakim. Gives you a little bit of flavor of the city, and I hope that will also give you some opportunity to think about.
בוקר טוב לכולם.
Just a second.
היום גברת יואל הר שפי, עורך דין, תגיב.
Sorry. Thought I'd close that up. So what I just want to talk about briefly is give you an overview of the pilot, and then I'm turning this over to Lori. So we are going to be matching students from now until probably the middle of February. As you heard, Minna's already interviewed 5. She's interviewing people in real time, because in Israel, we don't do a lot of advanced planning. It's better to meet and then match. We've asked each of you to make a commitment to 10 sessions with each of your students, and that you're going to be scheduling your sessions with your student, and expect that they're going to be available in the late afternoon and evening, so morning to early afternoon our time, and Lori has some suggestions about that. We've been suggesting that you send your student a short recap after each session, and I think Lori has some suggestions about that. Because this is a pilot, we're limiting it to the number of sessions, probably 10, and hope that you will complete by middle of May to end of May. The focus is on English conversation. We want to give our students an opportunity to speak. We're going to share resources with you today, and we have more resources on our website, and we will follow up with sending you all of these resources. We'll be doing some post-pilot assessments, whether we're interviewing you or sending you a short questionnaire. And we want to both encourage open communications with Minna and I, as well as we're going to set up a, if everyone's comfortable, a WhatsApp group so that you can communicate amongst yourselves in real time during this program. So are there any questions about that? And then I want to turn this over to Lori.
Marley, if you could just give me a minute, I just want to add to a couple things that you said.
Please.
These tend to be, like as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm not sure you were all on, they're all part of an excellence program at their high school. They're in one of the 4 high schools. Now I know there are 4 high schools, thank you to the video, in Ofakim. And they're very busy kids. They're kids who volunteer. One of them takes an art class once a week through B'Tzalel, which is the big art college in Israel that people come to Ofakim to teach this course. So they're very busy. So I've said to them, make sure, find a couple time slots a week that you're able to do it and suggest them to your mentors, to your tutors. So they know they're going to look for an hour once a week with you. And the other thing is they've asked me, and Marla, I didn't realize that you were limiting this to, that we hadn't talked about limiting it to 10. They had asked me, and I say to them what I say to all of our students, there's a 10 session commitment. When you get there, you have the conversation with your tutor, and if you're both able to keep going, like we're happy for that to happen. If that's not the case, I need to go back and say it and make sure I don't say it again.
It's fine. I just didn't want to.
Okay.
The kids.
But no one should feel pressure to go beyond the 10. If you think that's enough for you or for them, that's fine. Let us know, because then if they would like to continue, we'll figure out what to do with that. But the commitment is 10.
Okay.
That's it.
Great.
That's all I want.
So I think what I'd like to do in the time is to turn us over to Lori. She also has presented a PowerPoint for you, and Lori, let me know if you have any trouble loading it or getting on, and then we will have questions and answers at the end and kind of a wrap up.
Okay, thank you, Mala and Minna and Stephanie. It's my pleasure to be with you all today. And 3 years ago, I was a volunteer in Israel for the Skilled Volunteers. During that time, I was tutoring 4 days a week, 2 days a week in an all-Jewish school in Netanya, and then 2 days a week in Jerusalem in a Muslim Jewish school. Both very different from each other. I don't know which one I loved more because I loved being in both settings very, very much. I already mentioned I'm a retired reading specialist. I also have some ESL, English Second Language Arts, education and experience. I've taught grades 3, 4, 6, middle school and high school. And then in spring of 2019, I joined English by Yachad and volunteered remotely with 2 Israeli grade 10 female students. And this experience, Minna had mentioned 10 weeks. My commitment was for 10 weeks, and it lasted beyond a year with these 2 lovely young students. And so during that time, I was able to combine my teaching experience with the tools of technology, Zoom and WhatsApp, and my training and tutoring from Marla's group to move forward. The presentation today is a small sampling of those combined skills. Please bear in mind, I am not a trained, trained tutor, teacher. However, just someone who's been there, okay? Any one of you, I see a wealth of experience and education here. Any one of you could easily step in. So with that being said, I will begin my slideshow, and I'm hoping that my sharing process will go smoothly. Okay. Oh. Hold on. No.
Hold on, Lori, let me see what's going on.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I have something going here. Okay, just a moment.
Can you help you?
Okay, we ask you, can you see my screen, or do I need to go out and go back in again? It's loading. Can you see my screen?
It's black.
Hello?
Can't see it. Oops.
Can't see it yet.
No.
Yeah, it's black.
Okay.
You want to, Lori, do you want to send me the PowerPoint and I'll load it if you need to?
Maybe.
Sorry, guys.
Okay. Let's try this. I think I'm there. I think I've got it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm sorry. It's been a while since I've been doing this. Okay. So I'm so thrilled that I was able to segue exactly where we left off. So as the video said, you know, here is a map of the south, I guess, western part of Israel. Jerusalem is here, and moving southwest is Ofakim. This is a picture I saw in the video. It's a Turkish building, was what I gathered. And this is me in Jerusalem in 2019, looking a little younger. Tips for tutors. So most of my slides will have this as a heading. And so here we go. Get to know your students over time. Don't rush in and ask a million questions. That being said, things to ask them. Siblings in their birth order. An oldest child will have a different perspective than a second, third, or even fourth child, etc., in the family. Think about it. Why do you think birth order could be important in getting to know your student? There might be grandparents living in the home. Asking too many questions about post-graduation plans may make them feel uncomfortable. Feel your way towards that. Bring it up gradually or wait for them to bring it up. Why do you think this could be so? Also something to think about, the sensitivity about post-graduation plans. At this time, I'm just going to ask you, can you see clearly and can you hear me clearly? Can somebody unmute to just give me a...
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Okay, so you want to get to know your student. Who are you? When asking your student to tell about themselves, be sensitive to who they are. Keep in mind that oftentimes, here we go with thinking about strategies, reading comprehension and writing levels will not or may not be as high as their speaking and listening levels. So in other words, you may first get the impression that your student speaks very clearly, articulates, has a fairly good sense of expression and vocabulary, but then when you come to going into the skills of reading and comprehension and writing, this could easily be a little bit more challenging for them. Try to put a lens on from their perspective, as I know you all will. There is a little video that I'd like to share with you. I might just do the beginning and not the whole thing. It's only 2 minutes, but I feel like just a little bit, you'll get the idea. So if you go into the writing component, that could be a little intimidating for them, but you'll find out quick enough. So at this time, I would just like to go into a short video of getting to know your student using the lovable character of Charlie Brown.
We have to write an essay? 500 words about who we are? I have no idea who I am. Good grief. You worry too much, Charlie Brown.
Long before there was a boy named Charlie Brown, there was a man named...
We can't hear anymore, Lori.
Inside of it.
My favorite character is Linus. I used to carry around a blue blanket.
Everybody knows what Lucy with the football means.
I love Snoopy. He's so cute.
I've been dreaming about this thing since I was about 6 years old.
He was the little kid that no one really talked to.
He was one person telling this personal story every day.
Like all the best creators, there's a lot of himself in the work.
I remember I called him my sweet Babu. Pretty soon it was in the comic strip.
And he was those characters.
I have to figure out the meaning of my life. The meaning of life is to give and receive love.
I feel like he always was searching for the truth and wanted the world to be equal. You saw the girls in sports, which as a girl, I'm like, oh, that's great.
Here I am reading this comic strip, and all of a sudden there's a kid in there that looks like me.
It was 1968. Papers threatened to drop the strip. And he's like, fine, drop it.
The conversations those young children have resonate to our soul.
As successful as he was, I don't know that he got the full depth of the love and devotion people had to him and those characters.
Keep on trying. Charlie Brown never gives up. And if anybody should give up, he should.
Who are you, Charlie Brown?
Okay, thank you for that. So I know I'm preaching to the choir, but again, being sensitive about getting to know your students is the message. Okay, This is an image that I like to use. Where does the teacher responsibility begin and where does the student responsibility begin and end? You don't want to do so much for them that they are reluctant to do for themselves. So this is a model called the Greater Release of Responsibility, or the GRR theory. And basically, it's to model, and that would be teacher, I do it, and then guided instruction, we do it, and then a collaborative lesson, you do it together, and then finally you release the independence that the student does it alone. So again, it's model, teach, it's reteach if needed, and then you do it together, and then you do it, then the student does it alone. Building confidence. Tips for teachers. The 4 cornerstones of ESL, English Second Language, teaching and learning, are speaking, listening, writing, and reading. Number 1, explore what you think they are good at. Music, art, math, English, computer technology, singing, sports. It's an endless amount of avenues to explore. As I learned in the video, now we know more about Ofakim, the community, the Rabin Community Center, Sports Hall, Library, I jotted them all down, Science Center. There's 4 high schools. Which high school are they in? There's 800 students in schools, etc. The park, so much to explore. Number 2, simple, easier questions that the less articulate students might be comfortable with. What is your favorite subject in school? Least favorite? Do you participate in community service? Well, I gather that their community center might overlap into the community service, but I'm not sure. So that would be interesting to explore. And if so, what is your service? Most high schoolers in Israel do participate in community service. A lot of times it's at, from my previous experience, my students from Netanya, they worked at the food bank. Another interesting question is, do you help with Shabbat preparations? And how do you help? Do you have a pet? Tell me about it. If not, what pet would you like? How do you want to structure your lessons in the oral mode? Warm-ups, conversational English such as greetings. How are you? I am fine. How are you? How was your weekend? How is your weather? Is it raining? Do you see sun today? Is it windy? These are common sense, conversational English components, but yet still many students need to practice them. And you'll find out, as Minna said, there is a wide range of abilities, and I'm sure that goes across the board with oral, listening, comprehension, and reading as well, and writing. So you will find out quickly enough if their conversational English really needs to be practiced. Do you like to read? Are you reading a good book now? What is your favorite color? The girls love to talk about color and why. Try not to ask too many questions that require a yes or no. Teenagers love that. Oh, yeah, how was your day at school? Great. What did you do? Nothing. Open-ended questions will encourage more conversations. I'd like to share with you a website that is on YouTube, Learn Everyday English for Speaking. This, you don't have to write it down. This slideshow will be available for your references if you need it. So I'm going to turn to that. And
That's so kind of you.
Hold on one second.
You've made my day.
I just want to warn you, one of the down things about using YouTube is the ads that pop up. So if you're going to, integrate it into your lessons, just be ready to X out all those ads. It's very annoying, unless you have a really strong security that blocks, ad blockers, which at the moment I do not. So this one is kind of cool because.
Yeah, I'm going to call it right now. I think.
Wait, hold on. Okay, so what you can do is.
I found the single biggest productivity hack of 2021. It's this called Speechify, and it's literally
to get back in.
Hey.
Okay, so
I owe you
if
a
you
great
go
deal.
here and you see the big
Thank
red
you.
dot, you can drag it along. And if you look above it, it says, do you speak English? And now that's going to change. Giving compliments. And then you drag in a lot, making complaints. So these are phrases offered, obviously in English, and you can find, if you want to work on a specific one, you can drag it across and find one that you would like to offer, that you would like to, include in your lesson. I'm trying to find one, demanding explanations, hopes and desires. Let's see what that one is.
Do you have any thoughts on that? How do you feel about that? What is your opinion? Do you have any idea? Do you have any opinion on this matter? What's your view? Please tell me your opinion on this subject. What is your opinion about?
So the good thing is you can stop and start this wherever you need to. And then there was one other one, this young woman who my female students from last year, they really liked her. I said, are you sure she's not speaking too fast? And he said, oh no, we like her. So her name is Alyssa, and she has a series of conversational
maybe a good idea to try to practice the ways that native speakers put their words together. So try to repeat after native speakers, especially when you're looking at media. And you can do this when you're reading books too. You can try to.
So what Alyssa is saying is going back to the modeling. If your student is having difficulties with pronunciation, a little pronunciation, you don't want to be overly critical with pronunciation, but if it's really changing the meaning, or it's you can't understand really what they're saying, it's okay to gently correct their pronunciation. And you do that by saying it repeatedly so that they can hear it, and you would have them respond back. So we're just going to listen to Alyssa for a little bit more.
To read out loud interesting lines of books that you find, or something that maybe is difficult for you. Very nice practice tip. Make a situation where you can't escape into your native language. Make a situation where you can't escape into your native language essentially means immerse yourself. Of course, going to that country or going to a place where you can speak only that language is very difficult for some of you. Totally understand. But if
together,
okay. Back to the ads. Okay, so you get the gist. They are two reliable websites that you can refer to. Sorry. Okay, it doesn't want me to go there. Real world experiences. You can imagine, I would imagine that Ofakim has a transportation system, at least a bus system. You can also develop some conversational English about real world experiences, such as buying a bus ticket, going to the post office, dentist, airport, or going to the shop, the grocery store. Just some suggestions. Reading and comprehension, listening. Again, bring real world stories into your lesson. And this gets specific. Don't don't bother, this is from my experience, don't bother with fiction unless your student specifically requests it. Nonfiction is better bang for the buck. Israeli high school students.
Oops, we lost your sound, Lori. Lori? Lori, we lost your sound.
And without going into, you know, the types of backgrounds and experiences that they may have had. Structuring your lesson, writing. If you get involved with writing, you will find it the fastest way to assess your students' verbal English. Many students are pretty good with the mechanics. As some of you know, there are no capital letters in Hebrew, but obviously in English. But I have found that capitalizing has not been a particularly difficult mechanic in writing for them to learn, but the grammar is much more challenging. Lessons on verb tense agreement, present, past, future, is widely needed for a typical ESL student, particularly in writing. You'll hear it sometimes in the oral, but you'll see it in the writing. It's challenging. If you do go into writing, ask students to write a 5-sentence paragraph about a subject they like. Remember, anything you talk about can be turned into a 5-sentence paragraph. How would you go about this? They seem to talk about what they did, they seem to like to talk about what they did over the weekend or their vacations or holidays, similar to our US students. Their cell phones are their most precious possessions. It is a gateway to their friends. So you could even ask them, you know, did you spend much time on your cell phone this weekend, for an example. We will get more into the writing in just a moment. Okay, that's a repeat. Tips for tutors for writing. And that's a repeat. Okay, so verb tense. This is a chart that I particularly hung on to. I think it came about during a tutoring session or a training session rather by Yachad that Mala had set up. And I grabbed it because it was just what I needed to help my tutees. So in the verb tense of am and is and are, we have the affirmative, the negative, and the interrogative. And you can take each one of those phrases and practice the turnaround. So if you gave your student the affirmative, I am, you would ask, what is the negative? Well, naturally, you have to teach. If they don't already know, you have to teach this. What is the negative? I am not, low, not. Interrogative, am I? Turn it into a question. This is a great practice. So you learn the phrases first, and then you bring it to the next step, the next level, and you ask the students to put it into a full sentence. And with that, you take this grammar lesson and you turn it into a writing lesson. So I am a boy. I am not a girl. Am I a boy? For a very simple example. Okay, so that's a terrific chart. And 5-sentence paragraph writing. Again, I'm preaching to the choir. If they can do it in their own language, they can do it in English. Paragraph structuring is the same in Hebrew, writing composition. For them to write a paragraph as 10th graders in Hebrew, they should know how to do that. I am sure that they know well how to write a proper paragraph. However, to do it in English is a whole different story. But it's a great way for you to learn what they need as English learning students. So as you all know, I'm sure. Introduction sentence, detail 1, detail 2, detail 3, concluding sentence. What did you do over the weekend? I helped my mother prepare for Shabbat. I went to the beach. Later, I spoke with my friends on my cell phone, concluding sentence. As a result, I had a very nice weekend. A very simple paragraph. Some of them can do a whole lot more than that. Okay, tips for tutors. Although it is nice, put this in the back of your mind, if you will. Although it is nice to learn a few words in Hebrew from your student, do not put it on your agenda during the lessons. They're there because you are teaching them. They are not there for them to be teaching you. Although, that being said, naturally you will build, over time, you build up a rapport with your students, and you could have this exchange if a Hebrew word comes up that you would like to learn, etc. But just be aware that they're there to learn English. You're not there to learn Hebrew. Okay, the use of music. It is, I found in my experience, because I did Simon and Garfunkel, 60s, 70s music to present to them. They didn't really care about it. Teenagers like their music. So it is best for them. If you want to use music, the lyrics, is a great tool. And it's a nice break from formal instruction. It is best for them to tell you what song or composer they would like you to research and present, not the other way around. This is just from my experiences. The use of humor, try it. It will depend on the student whether or not it works. So you may find a YouTube to teach English through Friends, and there were a couple of other I Love Lucy's and all of that. It's fun. It's a great break up the routine. But just it works with some students, and some students just they're not into it. They just give them the nuts and bolts, the meat and potatoes. That's what they're more interested in. Okay. We're getting there. When coming towards the end, please bear with me. Tips for tutors. Be prepared. Don't waste their time or yours. As Minna had pointed out, they are in, I didn't catch the full name of the program, Minna, but program of excellence. They have a full load of academics. They are opting to do above and beyond. So you want to make sure that you are well prepared, be over prepared, have options ready to go in your lesson plan. What might seem like a good lesson on Tuesday might not feel right on Thursday. If you don't know how to share a whiteboard or website or document, I would advise you to learn. This will enhance your lessons in leaps and bounds. Keep a journal of your lesson plans. Make a notation at the end of the lesson as to what worked, what didn't work. Keep trying new ways of presenting your lessons. You really can't go wrong, and these students, I'm sure, will appreciate everything that you try. In your lesson plan, always ask yourself, what do you want the student to learn today? Always have an objective in your mind. Keep it moving on a timely basis, and do more than one activity. It will go a long way to have a little bit of variety. How will you know if he or she learned it? Have an assessment in your mind. Well, do I need to, that will enable you to ask yourself, do I need to reteach this? Do I need to offer more practice time? If so, why? What area of learning will you focus on in the lesson? Will you focus on conversational speaking, listening, reading, or writing? Okay, structuring, a couple of more things. Okay, structuring your lesson. How will I end the lesson? Closure, add-on lesson. This is where a music video with lyrics to discuss, poem or a humorous piece comes in handy. So in the ending, always set up your next meeting. Always set up your next meeting. And your follow-up. If you're using WhatsApp, and I hear many of you are probably already using it, I always send follow-up notes to the students, sending main points of the lessons. And always, always, always tell your students how great they are doing. English language learners need lots of encouragement and lots of support. And that's your main job, really, is to support them in their journey. English is a requirement in Israel, and their futures depend on it. So lots of encouragement, lots of support. And thank you. And I wish you all best of luck. And this is a listing of the websites that I used today. And that is the end of my presentation.
Linda Rosenthal, you have a question.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much. That was really, really helpful. Look forward to getting the deck. Does anybody have any guidance on, so speaking, reading, writing, is there a particular proportion, priority, or any guidance on how much to do of each, or do we just feel our way where the need is most?
So I have a response, and Minna may have some more response. I think that initially your emphasis is on speaking and conversing, especially as you're getting to know the students. Lori gave lots of suggestions of resources. There was one that I don't think she mentioned specifically called News and Levels that shows short articles, which we will point out to you. Using something short to read on a subject they're interested in as a way to engage conversation is very helpful. Our experience with videos is you really want to be thoughtful and careful about how much video you show, because it takes away time from the spoken. And we know that the students, one of the reasons this program is so attractive is that these students generally do not have native English speakers in their social networks, and so they don't get a lot of practice time outside of school. And so we really, I think, focusing on the conversation, and then as you get to know them, seeing what they're thinking about with reading or writing, whether that's attractive to them, whether there's a need, whether they'll tell you about something they have to do for school where it might be helpful. That I would say, let's start with the spoken, and using reading as a way to enrich a lesson, or a short video clip to enrich is fine. But that's my experience. Jessica had her hand up.
Can I just add on to what Marla, to what you said? First of all, after I've spoken to 5 of the students, and there's no question that they all want the opportunity to speak. They were very excited. Some of them a bit nervous, but very excited even for the opportunity to speak to me. And I think there's a phenomenon that's happened in Israel in the last year and 9 months, is that everyone will say to me, Minna, I understand very well. And I joke with them, of course you do, because everyone's been watching Netflix for this period of time. So everyone understands, but very few people have the opportunity to speak. Really, other than my household, that my daughter, because she was stuck at home with an English speaker during all our quarantines and all our lockdowns, her English got better. Most people have said to me, I've not spoken English in 2 years. So just the opportunity once a week to speak is extremely important for them. Lori, you're right. They know how important it is for their future, and not for school. They know that it opens doors for them. Some of them are excited by the opportunity to speak to an American, a North American, if there are any Canadians out there. Now, they all did say, all of them have said to me, as I said at the beginning, that they want to expand their vocabulary. And I do think reading, and I often recommend the News and Levels site because it's short articles. For some of them, it will help them also work on enunciating. Some of them, you'll know each of your students will have different strengths. Some of them actually, one of the young women told me she's read the whole Harry Potter series, so in English. So her reading level is clearly very high, but her speaking level wasn't as high. So there will be nuances in each student and you'll feel it out what they need, but there's no question that the main focus, at least at the beginning, is on the speaking piece.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. Well, two things. One, that I'm having lighting challenges here because there's so much sun outside and it's just coming right in. So I apologize for that. But the other thing I need to apologize, News and Levels. I had 2 slides on it as part of my presentation and it must have skipped over it. If you wanted to extend the time, I could go back and try to find it and present News and Levels for you.
I'll send it out. I think one of the things that you might just share verbally, Lori, is how you use News and Levels. It's very short nonfiction articles on a myriad of topics, and they offer them at basic, intermediate, and advanced level. And if you could just share, very simply how you use that kind of resource with a high schooler.
Yeah, sure. Actually, it's what, here I go in the dark again. Okay. Actually, it's one of the main components that I include in every lesson. As Mala said, there's several nonfiction world connected articles written on 3 different levels. And when you go into the website, you can choose level 1, 2, or 3. I always start with level 1. I'm sorry that we're looking at this way. And there's two options. One, either you can read the article out loud first to the student, or there is an option for a digital voice to read it out loud. I'm not a huge fan of the digital voice. They either read it too fast or too slow. So you know the components that you want to emphasize. So I recommend that the tutor reads the paragraph. There is a part below that is for vocabulary. Review the vocabulary with the student before he or she reads the paragraph. So you read the paragraph, then you discuss the vocabulary, then the student reads the paragraph. Again, this is common to, this is, 101 reading instruction, and then discuss it. Then if you want to go forward, gauge how much the student is understanding. If this level 1 is enough, great. If it's not challenging enough, you can go to level 2 and repeat. Now, one of the things that level 3 offers is, Mala did say, caution against videos. However, if the comprehension is challenging, there is an option within level 3 for a video that supports the comprehension of the paragraph. Okay, so again, I'm sorry, my slideshow skipped the page, but that's the gist of it. But reading, as you all know, increases vocabulary. It offers more risk-taking and skill developing than it's on a different level from conversation, obviously. Okay, thank you, and I'm sorry again, it skipped.
That's okay. So I wanted to ask, first of all, if anybody feels like they need Zoom training and screen sharing or using the whiteboard so that we can prepare that for you, or if you all are comfortable with that, if you all know how to invite someone to a meeting.
I need Zoom training in terms of setting up my own account. That I've never done.
Okay. I'm gonna reach out to each of you about this. Okay. Jessica, question?
Yeah, thanks. And thanks, Lori. That was really helpful. With my young adult partners in English Yachad, I'm very comfortable bantering back and forth, and and they know exactly what they want. And I'm feeling a little unsure. The only times I've worked with high schoolers before in the States, they've been very shy with me. And so I guess I'm just wondering, what are Israeli kids any different? And is there any way to get around that? Is there a way to make this more structured than what I do with the young adults? With the young adults, I'm very comfortable with just winging it because we have such a nice banter back and forth.
I would say that Israeli youth is very similar to American youth in terms of the youth culture area. When I spoke to them, I asked them, they a lot of them volunteered about their pets or about their hobbies. They all love music. It's a way that they use music. Laura, you mentioned music. They use music to improve their English. So I think finding their interests and talking about their interests is a great way to go. And I do think it's about asking questions, like Lori says, don't rush into too many. But these are highly motivated students who volunteered a lot of information. And I will say this about it. I think in some ways they knew they were going to have an interview with me, so they were excited and they had a bunch of things to say. And then there was one or two of them that kind of, I felt like they had prepared, and so I could see the change in their English. And also they said, well, what else do you want to know? And then they were willing to give over what they had kind of prepared. No one told them to prepare about what they had done. And then I asked a few questions. It was a short thing, but I think the getting to know you takes time, but to use that to start to find what interests them. And by the way, the news and levels is great. I often share that link with a lot of people. So even to suggest to them, and they can, if they have the link, they can choose the types of articles, or you can find the articles based on their interests. If I'm not mistaken, they're all in an excellence track that is maths and sciences. I'm looking at my notes that I took, but I think they all have, those are strengths. And that can be computer sciences to chemistry. Like there was a range in what they study. They seem to be very into their extracurriculars as well. Every single one of them does some type of volunteer. And if you ask them about their leadership activities, because that's part of the Hosen Community Center in Ofek, is that they teach them leadership. They take them on trips to different places like Merkaz Peres, the Peres Center in Yafo near me. So to ask them about some of those activities, I think is a great way to get started.
I'm going to just add one more thing. Another thing is, if you really do have a reluctant conversationalist, hold up a picture. I just grabbed something on my table and play a game. I see a blue boat. What do you see? Oh, I see an orange bridge. What do you see? Have something that you're both looking at the same time. And, you offer something, they offer something. It might be an icebreaker that, relaxes them, and then they feel more comfortable with talking in front of you.
Okay. Anybody else have questions for now? I want to wrap up with a couple just thoughts for you. First of all, we'll send out.
I want to add just something about WhatsApp, Marla, that I don't. Yeah. Can I add about WhatsApp? Lori, I know you use it. Some of you use it, some of you don't. I do not want any of you that don't use it to feel stressed that you have to learn it. I have started to say to the students, Americans don't use WhatsApp in the same way as Israelis. Like, we live on our WhatsApp. I noticed my sister-in-law, my brothers, the last time they checked WhatsApp was the last time they interacted with me. Other than that, they don't use it. If you feel more comfortable on email, I have prepared the students that they may need to communicate just via email, that they should be checking. So don't let that be stress. If you use it, great. It's a great tool, but it's not the only tool.
So that's a great segue into what I wanted to ask, because what I wanted to suggest was that we create some kind of a group amongst all of us so that you can be sharing ideas and questions amongst each other. And I'm on a bajillion WhatsApp groups through my various Israel activities. I wake up every morning to a whole series of conversations. If you're comfortable with WhatsApp, we can set up a WhatsApp group. If not, we can set up an email group. We could, if you don't feel like you need that, I'm okay with that too. But I just wanted to give you guys the tools and the connections to support each other and support your work with your students, since you each have so much different kind of background to keep this working for you and to share ideas. So maybe you can respond. I'll send out an email afterwards, and you, without putting people on the spot, and you can respond as to what's your preferred option for how we connect you. I wanted to tell you that Minna and I, our virtual doors, email, WhatsApp are open. If something's going great, we love getting those kind of stories. But if your student hasn't shown up, or you're having trouble connecting, or they're not very communicative, if there's any challenge, we really want to know, and we want to know before you get frustrated or upset. We want to know so we can follow up appropriately, give you the tools you need, or Minna will follow up with the students, or Yahaloma will, who's our contact in Ofakim. Minna is interviewing students. We expect to have students for all of you, but we may not end up with a high schooler for all of you. So if not, you're all going to be re-invited into our English Yachad pool. So there might be one or two of you that we end up having matching with an adult through our English Yachad tool. And I'm just saying that up front so that nobody feels like we weren't trying. Minna's interviews with the students mean that somebody doesn't have the level we need, or somebody after she talks to them realizes they can't make the commitment, or whatever it is, that we will place you with another volunteer, another student, but maybe not through the pilot. So everything you heard today, I think, will be helpful, except for the Ofakim orientation. But now you will have the video too. You've seen some visuals of the town, and I hope that will give you the tools you need to start to engage with your students. Some of you know Ofakim well, like Stephanie and Linda, and some of you don't. So that was there for all of you. Any other questions for me or Minna?
I just want to ask, where are we? We have background checks for everything. What I did on the other side is the students all signed a commitment letter, and their parents also signed to let them know that they're participating. So far we have, from 7 of the students, 5 of them have been interviewed. The other 2 are set up. Once the group is interviewed, I'm ready to go. I'm not interviewing them if I don't have parental permission. So I'm still waiting on the commitment letters from the parents and the children.
On our side, everything's taken care of.
Great.
So
that's what I heard.
I have a question, Minna. Will these students, these 7 students that you have signed on at the moment, are they all from the same high school, and will they know each other is participating in this program?
Yes, they're all from the same high school. They're in the same program, and they all are part of a program at the Chosin Community Center together. Yeah, I didn't even know how it came up, but one of the other students mentioned, I was like, oh, I heard about something. They're like, oh, you must have spoken to Oren Agam. They already knew. So yes, they're aware that who is participating.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Okay. Well, thank you all for your time, your commitment, your enthusiasm, your energy. And Minna will be emailing you with your students contact information and a little bit about who you're getting matched with in the next week to 2 weeks. So that's how you'll know who you're working with, right, Minna?
Yes, I hope within the next week. I mean, they're excited, they're ready to go. So, and I usually I tell the students, don't just write when you get the email. It really depends on the time. I see who gets it first, if it's on your end or theirs. I said, if you get it, write to them, let them know what hours are good for you. Don't just say thank you for working with me. So that hopefully you'll get an email response that says, here are the hours and the days that work best for me. You know, and if they suggest times that don't work for you, if there's no common time frame, let Marla and I know, and we'll figure it out. Actually, I've never had that happen, but let me know. And I also do recommend not to try to, unless it comes from the students. I never know who's religious or not. I do know that Shabbat in Israel is family time, and especially since we go to school, the kids go to school Sundays through Fridays. Actually, I'm not sure the high school kids do. To try to schedule with them during the weeks. I understand in America if people don't want to do Sundays, so if Mondays to Thursdays would be best for most people to try to schedule in those days.
Okay. Well, everyone, thank you. Have a
Very
lovely
exciting,
day.
very
Stay
exciting.
warm, and we're really excited to launch this in the next few days. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank
Wonderful
you.
It's
Bye-bye.
nice meeting all of you.
to meet you.
Yes.
And thank you for the background information of Ofakim. I actually learned a bunch too, so thank
Oh,
you.
great. Great. Excellent.
Laila Tov, Minna.
Laila Tov. Toda. Thank you. Thanks very much. Take care.
Thanks, Marla.
Thank you.